Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar today. Today, specifically, we're going to be looking at creating a customer or vendor portal using SharePoint. My name is Mike Marson. I head up business development for DynamicPoint. And given that we have a limited amount of time today, we're going to get started right away. First of all, the agenda for today's call. Why make a portal? We're going to look specifically at the benefits of doing so, as well as the objectives of why we want to do this. Then we'll move into how to make a portal. We'll look at the ingredients and whether or not Office 365 gives us any benefits in this. Number 3, we'll go into the demonstration. We'll look at some basics, start off on the elementary level, and then we'll look at some customer case studies and then move up to automation and get more complex with our portal requirements. And lastly, we'll do a closing. What a portal is not, is a portal right for me, and where do we go from here? Next, portal objectives. So the objectives, of course, depend on whether or not we're looking at a customer or vendor portal. A customer portal can be many things, but in general, these seem to be the more common items right here. Managing company information, sharing contracts and agreements, order entry and order submission, sharing inventory and product details, payment processing, as well as help desk. From a vendor portal perspective, managing company information again, payment status for my payments to my vendors, confirming POs and editing orders, managing RFPs, confirming shipments, compliance contracts, and the list goes on. Next, let's look at some of the benefits. Self-service. Obviously, the main reason we're doing this is so customers and vendors could have the information they want at their fingertips, and they don't have to call us or email us or any other means. They could just log on and see it securely in the portal. Next, hopefully we're saving money, right? We're not paying internal time to do this or internal resources because now the people, whether it be customers or vendors, are accessing the information on their own time. Increased efficiency, lowering costs by having fewer phone calls and emails. Improved relationships. Hopefully this is something that our trading partners want. So by giving it to them, they can answer their own questions in real time and have a better experience when they interact with us. Streamlining processes, workflows, as well as the use of Power Automate, we could begin doing basically business automation for tasks that were previously done manually. And information collaboration, easy access to that data that your customers or vendors could see real time, and thus improving the quality of that information because it could be managed actually by those individuals, as opposed to just you having to go update it directly into your ERP or CRM system. Next, let's look at the ingredients for a portal. Our analogy here is that basically we're hosting a dinner party, right? And as opposed to, of course, hosting a party, we're hosting a portal, but the analogy will be similar. And really the ingredients of what we want to provide as part of this party depends on the party itself. And it depends on us, the hosts of the party, who are those providing it, on what type of business we are. Obviously, the information is going to vary from business to business because what is critical for you may not be critical for other organizations that they want to share. And then, of course, the second part of that is our portal users, our guests. What do they want to see? What is it that they're calling us for in this day and age that if we gave it to them in real time on the portal, they would be able to access it on their own time? Next, let's look at the typical ingredients for a portal. Self-service, such things as account information, orders, financials, all those things that we just reviewed from a customer or vendor perspective, all from other systems, and we want this real-time included in this portal that they will be accessing. Document sharing. We want a centralized repository for storing and sharing documents. Community and social features, discussion boards, forums, knowledge bases, where users could log on, interact, and answer their own questions. Dashboard data analytics and reporting, such things as KPI, performance reports, vendor analysis, things like that we could share directly with them so they could see that on their own accord and we don't have to email them reports or send them things on a routine basis. Feedback and survey forms, we could solicit their feedback directly, giving them a survey or a form, and then we could collect that information and hopefully improve upon our interaction with our trading partners. Workflow and business automation, creating tasks, follow-ups, and notifications. And lastly, very important, security, login management, multi-factor authentication, and making access to the portal role-based depending who it is that's logging in. Next, let's look at whether or not Office 365 offers any of these features to us automatically. And what I've done here is I put those same requirements, but next to each of those requirements, you're going to see an icon. And that icon here represents the Office 365 product, which is basically fulfilling that need. So the first one, user authentication and security, is Intra ID. That's Microsoft's security platform, obviously well-renowned as being very secure and ensuring that our portal is not going to come under any hack or anyone trying to impersonate another person by coming into this information. Next icon there is SharePoint. SharePoint in itself is a document center, community and social, and a platform for creating a portal that has all kinds of web parts and standard features that we could add to enhance our user experience. Dashboards and analytics, that icon right there is going to be Power BI, so we could begin including Power BI reports in this portal as well. Feedback and survey forms, that's Microsoft Forms right there. So again, building these surveys and soliciting feedback directly from our users using Microsoft Forms. Workflow and business automation, for those who you do not know, that's Microsoft Power Automate. And any interaction in a portal, we could kick off workflows and notifications, as well as send our customers or vendors alerts based off of their interaction. In this icon, you probably don't recognize, this is the DynamicPoint icon, and we are adding our portal product to this mix of Office 365, specifically the SharePoint front end, to provide all of the integration with that data as it resides in other systems. So the ability to tie into your ERP, CRM, database information, and include that information securely on the portal on top of all the features that Microsoft already provides. So in summary, I mean, your kitchen is already stocked. Most Office 365 users already have this at their fingertips. You don't really need to buy anything else. Just add our simple app to the mix, and then you have the complete picture. Next, let's look at a demonstration. We're going to start off simple here and go with the basics. We're going to do a couple case studies on how customers use these portals. And then we're going to get more sophisticated and start looking at business automation and how we could apply workflows to automate otherwise manual tasks. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and switch over. Okay, we have several different portals to go through today. We're going to start first with a customer portal. So here you can see I have a SharePoint site. I have different calls to action, the ability to see sales orders, create new sales orders, actually view or pay invoices, create service cases or service orders, create a return, a discussion board, customer satisfaction survey, view my contracts that I have with the organization, manage my company data, as well as contact us and manage our profile. I also have a shared document library here showing some of the customer contracts that I have, and note that these are all filtered for the customer that of course is authenticated to this site, as well as an event calendar. And if I go down here, I have a customer report that I've shared, or a KPI, using, as you can see, a Power BI embedded report. So the first thing to note about these portals, the look and feel, that is entirely up to you. These are very configurable as far as the branding, the logos, the colors. In fact, Microsoft gives us this thing called the lookbook that gives us templates that we could look at any of these and download them and actually have a good starting point for how we want this portal to look, free of charge, that are just available free on their website. So let's go back to our customer portal and let's just click simply on the sales orders here. And you're going to see a brief working on it. And what that is doing is it's retrieving that information directly from the underlying system, in this case, an ERP. So I'm seeing all of the orders that are open in the system for the customer that I am representing or logged in as. I could drill into these. I could see the line items associated to it, drill into the line items, look at tracking information, pricing, all kinds of good stuff. You'll also see a print icon next to each of these orders. By clicking that print icon, I'm actually calling the underlying ERP report and rendering it as a PDF in the portal. So we're not creating a separate report for the portal or anything like that. We're calling an existing one. So if this was branded for the customer and whatever else, of course, that would all show up. So that's orders. I'm going to go ahead and look at that same thing, but this is configured a little bit different, and now the customer has the ability to edit that order. So maybe before I fulfill that order, I want to give them the ability to update something like their shipping address, or maybe even add an item as they're going through this. So you can see here I could add an item. I could submit it for review. If I were to go back to that screen, you're also going to see a create button. The create button will actually take me through the creation of a new order that'll go directly into the ERP system or be submitted for approval. Invoices, that's a popular one. I'm going to show the customer all their open invoices. In addition to viewing the details of these, they could again print them if they want to print a report of the invoice. As well as you see, I could select these various invoices and pay them. Clicking on that payment, clicking on that pay button will actually call a payment service, and I could accept payment directly in the portal. So that's good overview for a customer portal. Let's go ahead and look at the vendor portal. Same idea, just different information. So as opposed to showing such things as orders, I am showing purchase orders to the vendor. They're probably not going to create these per se, but maybe I want them to go into this and edit them, like and provide a new expected delivery date or acknowledge them if they haven't done so already. And that'll go ahead and update it. The other thing you're going to see here is the ability to submit documentation associated to this PO. So I could actually upload forms or any response, or maybe response to a quote, and I can upload, just go ahead and scroll my PC and add that directly to the portal or associate that to the PO itself. Submitting an invoice, maybe I want to give them the ability to upload new invoices, view their open invoices, etc. So let's go into some of these other ones, like managing your company information. Here I'm showing their contact details that I have for them. Maybe I want to give them the ability to update some of this, say they've changed locations. And then again, any updates in the portal will flow directly into the underlying ERP or be submitted for approval process, depending on your configuration. If I go back to the vendor portal, let's go ahead and look at the invoices. The other thing you note here, I have an export button. If I click that, it's actually going to upload all of these directly to Excel. So I could go ahead and click that, and you can see it downloaded in an Excel file directly on my computer with all of the open invoices and the details that I chose to select. Another popular use case is we see the ability for them to manage their own profile and add contacts. So this is going to show all the contacts that I have for that customer. In this case, you could see I could go update the contact information, maybe change the email or change the address or the phone number associated to the personnel that I have represented for that company. So as I mentioned, there's many different use cases, and it really depends on the type of company I am and who my users are. I have different use cases here for a service organization. So as opposed to showing such things as POs and open orders, I'm showing service calls. I'm actually giving them the ability to click on this, see their existing service calls, as well as create a new one in the system. So they could go through this creation process, put in some details, and create it directly there. If I go to my supplier portal, I'm showing such things as the inventory I have in stock. So I could click on this and see maybe what they have available. I could click on any of these and see what's on hand, as well as see such things as bill of material and production orders. And then the last site I want to showcase here is an RFP management site. So they could see their existing RFPs, upload bid documents, and really begin interacting and automating the whole RFP process from this portal. So now that we covered some of the basics, let's look at some of the options for business automation. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on my customer portal and look at the contracts that I have open for this customer. and maybe they want to renew a contract. And honestly, I'd probably send them a renewal notification such that they had a reminder. But for the sake of this demo, I'm going to click that renew button, which is going to kick off a process. And renewing a contract is a little bit more difficult for me to, I need to obtain a signature and things like that. So you see that message here that you're going to receive an email with further information, and I could go ahead and close that screen. And what that's actually done is kicked off a workflow process in the background. If I go to my email here, so you can see I have that open, you can see that that's actually interacted with a DocuSign template. You don't have to use DocuSign, but it sent it to the customer with an electronic form that they could review this contract and actually provide their electronic signature right here. So I could go in and sign it, say that looks great, maybe review the terms, and then upon completion of this, it's going to kick off an internal review. So maybe a contract manager can make sure that everything is done completely. And you can see I've received this notification. I could actually approve or reject it, as well as click on the actual contract and then ensure the customer has filled it out properly. So the process that I just walked through there was essentially this. So I had a contract expiring, I clicked a renewal, and then there's one more step that I want to show you is that upon the approval of that contract will be updated in the ERP and the customer will receive a notification that it has been approved. So I'm going to go ahead and prove it. Say this looks great. That will send the customer a notification that their contract has been renewed. So you can see that contract renewal notification has come in. In addition, if I were to go look at the contracts here and refresh them directly from my ERP, you're going to see the expiration date has now been updated to be a year out. So as you can see, that was a real-time integration. Upon them accepting the new contract, it updated it. So that's one common use case. Another common use case that I'm going to review really quick is vendor onboarding. Let's look at this workflow. So I want to request to do business with a new vendor. I want them to be sent an invitation, provide all the necessary onboarding forms and tax documentation, and then I want to create that vendor automatically in the ERP. So let's go ahead and go through that really quick. We need to go to the vendor portal and add a new vendor. I'm going to initiate this new vendor request with just a simple form, as you can see. So this is just using Microsoft Forms. And I'm going to request to do business with DynamicPoint. And submit it. It's as simple as that. Now what that has done is it's sent an email to this proposed vendor where they could again review a contract, in this case an onboarding form, provide their details like address information. Here I have a type of business that they are, the EIN number, fill out a W-9, again, providing electronic signature. And again, you don't have to use DocuSign for any of this information. It's just obviously a popular one as far as contract management. When I finish this, it will again submit it for an internal review. So if I were to close out of all this and go to my own email, you can see I have that new vendor request with, again, a link to that completed form and the ability to approve it. And then lastly, this is going to do a couple things. The vendor will get an invitation welcoming them to the organization and to the portal, and it's going to go ahead and create that record automatically or create that vendor data real time. So here's my simple notification. I could have made this a little prettier, but you're now a vendor in our system. To access the portal, click here. And that, of course, will share that site with them. They could go ahead and authenticate and log in directly to the portal. So both of those were just examples of business automation. A few other things that we could cover. If we go back to our customer portal, in the introduction there, I mentioned such things as satisfaction surveys and discussion boards. I could do discussion boards using the Yammer interface with SharePoint. So you can see here I could post questions and get responses and like them and everything else. And then the next option is a customer satisfaction survey. These could be sent out proactively, based on their ordering a product or something like that. But in this case, I just have it standard. Again, using an embedded Microsoft form, they could provide all kinds of details. If I go down here, I have various, rankings on how great I am to do business with or any areas for improvement. And then finally, they could go ahead and submit that form. So those were just some of the more advanced options that I could do. In addition to sharing data, I could begin collaborating using discussion boards and satisfaction surveys. So I believe that's it for our demo. Let's go ahead and switch it back over to the PowerPoint. So we've been talking about all the things that a portal is, and I think we should also just briefly discuss here what a portal is not. If you notice here, this is not an e-commerce site, right? This isn't intending to be like an Amazon or a shopping cart experience. It is more geared towards a B2B relationship. It's not really geared towards business to consumer because that usually lends itself more to an e-commerce site. The other thing to note is it's not necessarily instant gratification. Thought has to be put into these portals. You have to think about what it is that my customers or vendors want to see that they're having to exert effort now by either sending me an email or contacting me, and how would that benefit them by putting it on the portal. And then I need to encourage engagement one way or another, right? I could build all this information, but if it's not used, of course, there's no real value in that. So there is most certainly planning that is required to make sure that the portal is providing the experience that our users want, provides a benefit to them, and then in fact it is being used. So a couple things to think about. Is a portal right for me? Again, B2B, SharePoint collaboration portals are really targeted towards B2B relationships. Collaboration is key, focusing on that exchange of information, data, reports, documentation, analytics, etc. If your relationship is fairly complex, then a portal probably offers you more value. If you're just, selling them something, they buy it and they're done, then there may not be that need for it. So with that, it lends better to long-term customer or vendor relationships. Best for that lasting relationship in which giving them a portal is worth it. They're going to come back. I do a lot of business transactions with these individuals. They span, long periods of time, and it's a little bit more complex than a one and done type situation. Where do we go from here? Well, Microsoft has a lot of reading on this, so I will include these are all hyperlinks here, building SharePoint portals, SharePoint as an extranet. I'll include these links here on the presentation. As well as our DynamicPoint Portal page offers a lot of examples and videos where you can see this all in action. And then I guess some general personal reflection. Do you use Office 365? If so, a portal is probably well within your reach because you already own a lot of this technology. Would my business benefit from a portal? Is there the potential for either better customer relationships or cost savings by providing this data on a portal? And then, of course, would my customers or vendors benefit from that? Would I have better relationships with them? Is this what they want to see? Have they been asking for this? A lot of situation customers are demanding this, and therefore we come into play to fulfill this need to ensure that the customers or trading partners are satisfied with the relationship. That is all the time we have for today. So thank you so much for joining. Here's our website as well as our info. And again, my name is Mike. I want to thank you everyone for taking the time out of your day, and everyone have a great rest of your day and week. Bye now.